Hey, good morning, Edna. Keep here. It is Free Coaching Friday, and today we are going to talk about putting an executive summary together to share your deal with the public. I'm gonna share that. I'm just gonna chat a little bit before that comes on. The other thing I'm going to share with you today is what it takes to assign a contract, because a lot of people talk about wholesaling, and they talk about getting a property under contract and assigning it to someone else, but they don't know all the things that have to go on to make sure that they get that done. So I'm going to share that with you too. So if anybody again has any questions or any comments, please add them in, and I'll be sure and answer them for you. I might make today just a wee bit shorter because I am planning my mastermind for the weekend, and still got a few things left to get ready to go. We also have a coaching and training session at my house this morning, or not this morning, but at noon. So I have some people coming in from out of town for that too. And we want to make sure that we have time for everything. Also, cash flow game in our house tonight. So it's going to be a wild and crazy weekend, but it'll be a lot of fun. Okay, so welcome everyone. Glad to have you on the call. So first of all, what I'm going to talk about is putting an executive summary together for your investor. One thing that people do quite frequently, because I get different proposals across my desk all the time about sharing me a deal or showing me a deal, and would it interest me and stuff like that. And what I've learned is that most people either give too much information or not enough. So one of the things that I want to point out very first of all is, if you got a deal, have a picture of it, because a picture says 1,000 words. I can tell, roughly the age of a building and all that kind of stuff by the design and things like that. And then that's also something else to put in there, is the age of your building, because some people think they're getting a really good deal, and then you find out their property was built in the 1800s, and there's all kinds of challenges that could be, and I mean, it could be updated, but there's all kinds of challenges that you now have to start watching for an older property like that. So what I like first is a picture, and I'm just going to show you one just to see. This is put on by one of my clients, and you can see there's a nice picture of her apartment building. So it kind of gives you an idea, nice clear picture, and not 1,000 words on one page. So just to give you an idea, the other thing you want to do when you're sending things out to an investor is make it clear what you're looking for. People will send me stuff and they'll go, "Is it here, Edna, would you be interested? This is a good deal." And they don't tell me if they're looking for me to wholesale the deal to me. They don't tell me if they're looking for an investor. They don't tell me what their plan is with the property, all that kind of stuff. So that's another thing too, when you're looking for investors, even if you've told them verbally what you're doing with the building, they won't always remember. And it's nice to have something in writing. So put it in writing. So you want to put what your purchase price is, what you have your contract under, or what price you have the offer under contract for. A description of the building that would, if it's an apartment building, include the number of bedrooms and how many units. And if it has more than one bathroom or anything like that, that's really important as well. You want to cover off the construction of a property, like, is it a wood frame or is it a masonry building, that sort of thing. Again, it does matter for value, sound quality, stuff like that. Oh, good morning, everyone. I see a lot of good mornings on here, so perfect. Thanks for joining, everyone. The other thing you want to put on is if there's any balconies, because again, that does say something about the building, because a lot of people love to have a balcony, so you can get that much more rent on your balcony. The other thing you want to put is any special features that your building has. So if it has in-suite washer and dryers, that's a really nice feature to have, so include that. But if it has one set of washer and dryers for the building, say that too. If it has two or one on each floor, say that too. Talk about if there's parking, what the parking includes, because again, with an apartment building, that's a really big deal. You have to have an apartment parking stall for each and every person that lives there. You want to talk about things like if it's a 3-story walk-up, or or if it's all 1 story, that sort of thing. When there were major renovations done. So if there were major renovations done in a specific year, put that down. And if you can detail them, that's even better. Like it might be new windows and doors, or all new carpeting, or new paint throughout, or new appliances in most of the units. Things like that will be very helpful for covering it. And you know what? This is not a 10 pages. This is a 3-page thing, just so you know. You want to put on your gross income expenses and your net operating income, because people can get a good idea then if it would be something they'd be interested, given their cash on cash return. What the cap rate is, if you figure it out and it's something you want to share. Also, you may want to put what the asking price was compared to what your actual price was, just to show that you were able to negotiate some prices off. And if you have a map of where your building's located in your city, you might want to put that too. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that little map? And it's got a little spot, that circle that says we are located right here. Okay, so that's good. And then what you want to do on your last page is tell the investor what you're offering, what you're looking for. So in our case, what we usually say is we're offering 60% ownership for the dollar amount of the shareholder loan. And then we talk about the income, laundry, if any other incomes that we might have on there, what the vacancy rate is. That usually want to cover that in there. Expenses like caretaker, repair, maintenance, property tax, garbage collection, utilities, insurance, and then what you're going to be able to get for a mortgage. Now, you won't always know exactly, but just go by the last building you bought, or if you haven't bought a building yet, ask the person who you're dealing with what the mortgage rates are. Talk to your mortgage broker. Get a good idea ahead of time. And then that'll give you your net after mortgages. So that'll tell you how much cash flow you have each month. So you'll be able to tell your investor how much cash flow that they're going to be receiving back every quarter. And also when it's going to start to come. Because one of the things investors want to know is not just return on their money, but they want to know when they're going to get their principal back. That's a big thing for people. If they're giving you $100,000 or $50,000, one of the first things they're going to want to know is, how do I get my principal back? And so you got to be able to tell them. And that's very easy to explain. Also, cash on cash return. And then what we generally do is give a rough idea of what the percentage is going to be if you haven't got 100% of the numbers yet, because you don't always have everything actual before you start looking for your investors, because you got to quickly get the executive summary out to your investors lots of times before you start working on all your due diligence. So sometimes it's not 100%, and you've got to be prepared to do that. So you want to project their overall rate of return, and we might put something like 9 to 15%. A lot of people think that if investors hear that they're going to get a 25% return on their money, they're going to jump all over it. Not true. If you start talking really high numbers like that, people get scared and they think it's really high risk. Doesn't matter what you tell them after that, so you have to be really careful with that. So that is my spiel on how to put together an executive summary. Now, you can put a little bit more about actual rent roll. You can actually put some pictures of the unit if you want to. That's not necessary. I like to keep mine to 3 pages. But sometimes if you want to add in a little bit, that doesn't take a person a whole lot of time to go through. You can do that too. So does anyone have any questions about that? Does that bring up any questions, or any concerns that you have when it comes to putting an executive summary together for your investors. No? Okay. Oh, you guys are always so easy on me. Okay, well, the next thing that I want to talk to you about is an assignment contract. And this sparked something by what a student said to me the other day, that they want to make an offer on a property, but they're not 100% sure if they'll be able to get investors on it. So they wanted to know what they needed to do if they assigned the contract or wholesaled the deal to someone else. Oh, this is a good question. Rob says, I had a deal sent to me on a building and it did not have parking spots for each unit. Would you touch it? You know what? It would depend. If you can market it as within walking distance to everywhere they want to go and they don't need a car, it might be marketable, but that's something that would come together in due diligence. It's not always 100% necessary. Or is there parking on the street? Like you have to figure out where people are going to park with their cars. In our area, there's again, different areas. If it's downtown or close to downtown, they don't need a car as much. And then the other thing you want to find out is when you're applying for financing, is that going to be a deal breaker? So if you do get it under contract ahead of time, I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker up front, but check with your financer if that's going to be a deal breaker for them. Because some people won't want to finance it, because you might want to buy it, but it might be harder to sell. But good question. Thanks, Rob. Okay, it is downtown and super close to transit. Yeah, well then you may not. And you know what? Downtown and super close to transit is a big deal nowadays. Again, a great thing to network with other people who have properties in the area and just see what the challenges are, how they advertise those rentals, and if they have any challenges filling them. We don't have any like that, but just again, some more due diligence that you might want to add in, and don't just listen to what the seller says, talk to some people who have buildings in the area and see, what the challenges are by not having parking spots for their people. And if it is a challenge even, because maybe if they market it as no parking, close to transit, there are people that don't ever buy a car. They just use public transit all the time. Okay, so assignment contract. So when you're, and feel free to keep asking questions on this stuff, I can come back to it. So if you get a deal under contract and you can't, or you think there's a possibility you can't find the money for it, always keep in mind that it could be assignable. So the first thing that I would suggest you do is once you have it under contract, because make sure it's under contract first, because otherwise somebody could go steal it on you, but post it maybe in some Facebook groups that you're already involved in, and say, first of all, I'm looking for investors, and if it's in our Facebook group, just point out that I'm looking for investors. That's my number one goal. But if I can't do it or can't pull it off, I take on partners, and if we can't pull that off, well then I'd be considering wholesaling the deal. So here's my numbers. Put your executive summary on there and see what kind of feedback you can get. Now the super nice thing about the people in the group is if it's not clear to them, they'll let you know what you're missing. They won't just say, oh, not interested. If there's information that they need, because there's people in there looking all the time, they'll ask for more information because they're getting educated and they're starting to know that kind of stuff. And then if there's questions on there that no one can answer, well, we pop on and answer them too, so you'll get that. So anyway, for your assignment contract, again, one page. The clearer you can make this, the easier it is to get it done. So you want to put your date, you want to put your assignor name, who you're assigning it to, and the assignee, and that would be you or your company name or whoever the contract is in now. The above listed assignor who executed a contract dated. So you're going to take the date of the contract you've written. So the offer to purchase that was accepted, you are going to put that on this assignment contract. So there's no doubt who it is. and it's going to be between the contractor, which is the person taking on the deal, and between you, the contractee. Okay, does that make sense? And then regarding the property described as, and here you might put 18-unit apartment building, and it might be located at such and such an address in such and such a city, because keep in mind that not everybody is from your province when you're sending it out. And you can write it, hereby assign all rights to said contract in exchange for the payment of. And then what you do is you collect that payment upfront from somebody. Now, you don't get to collect the payment from someone and keep looking for investors. So if that's not going to be something that you're doing, just wait until it's time to be done. Say, you've only got a week left for financing, you're not getting anywhere, you've decided to wholesale this building, then that's when you do it. And then the money exchanges hands, and that deal is now in their hands. Now, what you have to follow up on, or another thing you want to put on here, is the assignee agrees to fulfill all terms, conditions, and contingencies of the aforementioned contract and to perform as required in good faith and with any time periods established by said contract on the following date. Because if they don't, they lose that deposit. And if you don't, so you need to stay in contact with everybody. For example, if you are doing a deal like this, collect the money up front. Don't expect your lawyer to collect it for you. By then it's too late. And follow up. Let the seller know that you've assigned the contract to someone else. That would be an amendment to the offer. And then you make sure that it happens, because you've given a deposit already, and you need to make sure that deposit is going to be taken care of, because if not, you lose that deposit. So if just say, for example, if you put $5,000 down on that property, then you want to get that back and get the new money in on it, or you want to get enough money to cover your fee and that back so that you don't get stuck with it. Rob says, what are the typical fees we'd expect when wholesaling a deal? Again, another really good question, because a lot of it depends on how much work you've done on it. Say, for example, you started working on an apartment building and you'd spent money on an appraisal, you'd spent money on an environmental, you'd maybe put your deposit down with the working on the mortgage. Like, you've put some money into that deal, and what you do is then you give those reports to your the person that you're assigning the deal to, and that saves them money. So if they're serious about going ahead and you've spent all that money, then make sure that your costs are covered. Sometimes we get to a certain point and we can't do it, and it's just like, you know what, I just got to get a partial of my costs covered. But basically what it comes down to is the more work that you've done on a deal, the higher your wholesale fee can be. If you've negotiated, say you got a deal that came to you, there was no realtor involved, so it came to you, it's a private sale, and you were able to negotiate some really good terms, like 3-year vendor take back of $300,000, 6% interest, and maybe a reduced price of a couple $100,000. Those are all skills that you've been able to use, and so that's worth something. So when you do that, the more work you do on it, the higher wholesale fee you can get for it. Now, where you cannot get a wholesale fee is if you say, hey, got a deal under contract, you want it? And they go, okay, well, tell me about it. Well, there's not much I can tell you. I haven't been to the property, just thought it was a good deal. You know what? No, people aren't going to buy it. They'll wait till it goes off the market and go look at it again and do it themselves. And again, that happens. You're not necessarily going to wholesale the deal. If you've got to create a sense of urgency, you've got to create interest, curiosity, And you've got to get it out to more than one person, because if one person knows that they're the only person looking at this, they might just wait till the contract falls off and then just go get it themselves. So again, be careful with how much you say. And again, if you start dealing with people that you know, like, and trust, then you don't have to be quite so careful. Still get your money up front. But if people are showing that they're good for stuff like this, then it's definitely different than if it's somebody you've never dealt with. So be careful with that. We've got some people on the road to the mastermind today. That's awesome. And the roads it's cold. I know it's very, very cold out there today. Although I was talking to a lady from Edmonton yesterday, or it was Calgary. She tells me it's supposed to be plus 10 on Saturday. So we should get that a couple days later. Bill here. Hi, Bill. Later in the course, will we see copies of the agreement you're discussing? Yes, you'll get access to all these. I don't send them out publicly. I'll talk about them, but I don't send them out publicly. But yeah, you'll have access to all of them. They'll be on the membership site so that you can get them from there. Terry says, good morning, I almost missed it all. Well, you know what? That's something to remember. Every Friday at 10 a.m., I do a free coaching Friday. So come with your questions. Invite other people that you think might be interested in, maybe investing with you, or just learning how to invest themselves, get into real estate themselves. So like, comment, and share. I really appreciate that. And again, if you have any questions on any of these topics, just let me know, and I'll help you. And then the other thing to make sure of is that everybody signs it and get a witness as well, because this is an official contract. If something happened and you ended up going to court, this is official. So make sure that everything is signed. That you have all your, and if you have any special terms that are over and above what's on the page, write them in by hand, and initial them or something like that. So just a reminder, I'm just going to see what time it is here. I can't see when it's on there. Okay, so we're at 10:23. We've got about 5 more minutes. Just a reminder of a few things that's coming up. For those of you that are on the mastermind, everything starts tomorrow morning at 8:30. We do have a dinner planned Saturday night, tomorrow night. Oh, so sorry. Dry throat already today. And then all day Sunday again. We finish right up between 4:30 and 5 on Sunday, so you can get back on the road and get home. The other thing is, every Monday at 10 a.m., we do Mindset Monday. So come out and get motivated for the week. And I'm going to be giving little challenges out here and there too, to get you working on stuff that I think you should be working on too. Okay, here's another question. Rob says, if a vendor's willing to finance much of the deal, what are your suggestions for an exit strategy? How soon should they be paid out? A lot of that is going to depend on your deal, because you'll have to pay out your shareholders and you'll have to pay out your vendor. You can't say, Mr. Shareholder, I will wait for 3 years to get my vendor take back paid out before I pay you. That probably won't work. Again, you get to call the shots. You can really put out there whatever you want. You just want to make sure that you can refinance. Generally, you're going to be able to have to refinance to get the full vendor take back paid out. So that's why we're generally looking at a 5-year term to be able to refinance it. So you have to make sure that your deal is going to cover that vendor take back too. Because I've had students in class, just when we're practicing vendor takebacks, they'll get, I got 100% vendor takeback at 7%. Well, you know what? That is not a good deal. You can't even do that deal. So you have to be really, really careful. It doesn't always make sense to get a vendor takeback if the cost is too high. So your cheapest financing is the bank. You're getting 2, 3, 4 percent. And generally, your vendor is not going to go that low, because if he did, he could just get out of his building and be entirely risk free and just go to the bank. So you're usually paying a premium. So you just have to make sure the deal's going to work. And sometimes it's longer. When you're dealing with a newer building and the rents are already high and your cash flow is good, well, it may take you a little bit longer to refinance it. Like there's just certain things that you have to keep in mind. So one of the things that I learned very early on in real estate is one of the biggest risk factors in real estate is time. So if you've got time, you can just about make anything work. Especially, if you've got a good solid apartment building. If you've got time, you can make it work. It's 5 years, it's 10 years. The other thing that you can make work is you can cash flow every building out there. And some people say, well, that's impossible. Well, it's not if you pay cash for it, right? If you pay cash for your building, you can cash flow it. If you put 50% down, you can cash flow it. So be careful with that too. A lot of times when I see things cross my desk, when people are showing me a deal, it shows the net operating income and then their cap rate, so 3.8 or 4% or whatever it is, and then you go back and you figure out what you'd get for a mortgage, even at 2.5%, and you're putting money in there every month. So you're either having to put a larger down payment, 40-50%, or you got to look at something that performs a little bit better. So you be careful with stuff like that, because you can absolutely cash flow every building out there if you pay cash for it. But leverage is a huge thing in real estate, and there are a lot of people that just prefer to pay cash. I think you can grow a lot faster, and that's their comfort level. That's fine. Everything works different for people. But yeah, that's a really good question too. So thanks, Rob. Any other questions here? Let's see what we got. I'm just going to go back to the beginning. We've got a lot of people join us here. Good morning, Jake. Good morning. I'm not sure how to say your name. Arunami. And Minaj here. Minaj. Good morning, Minaj. How are you? Ru Chang. Good morning. Good morning, Monique. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Carm, my niece. Good morning, Mike. Hey, Mike was one of my coaches way back. How long ago was that, Mike? I can't remember. He was awesome. Love that guy. And congratulations. He just got married to a superwoman just recently. Good morning, Jake. Said, good morning, Janelle. Are you on the road? Good morning, Audrey. Good morning, Logan. And, Persona, my neighbor. Good morning, Persona. Guess what? We've been eating your chocolate all week. So good. Connie, my cousin. Hey, Connie, how you doing? Good morning, Garth. Hey, Garth is a mortgage broker out of Alberta, one of the smartest mortgage brokers I've ever met. He is also a real estate investor, so he understands. Okay, what's next? Good morning, George. How are you? Good morning, Jackie. Oops, asking me to block somebody. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Terry. Good morning, Bill. I think I said good morning to everybody. Good morning, Jill. Drive safe. Yes, your hubby's on the road. We got to get him here safe and sound. Good morning, Corny. Are you guys on the road too? And Janelle says, yes, I'm on the road. Okay, perfect. Well, if you guys don't have any more questions, I hope you got value out of today. I love sharing this kind of stuff with you. It's all stuff that we learned over the years, and we use it all the time. And it's just, it's nice to have it in your back pocket and know. So like I said before, if you're getting value out of this, share with people that you think might be interested. I'd really appreciate that. And I will see those of you who want to work on mindset. I'll see you Mindset Monday, 10 a.m. And for those of you that are just interested in the real estate coaching, then I will be back here next Friday, same time, same place. And, Courtney says they're almost in Verdun. Perfect. So you guys will be here on time. Awesome. Okay, well, have a good weekend, everyone. Stay warm. And apparently our temperature is supposed to go up to be a little warmer next week. So that'll be really good news for everyone. So have a good weekend, and we'll talk to y'all soon.